Yet the whole experience of tank warfare, good and bad, has made the men who live in and fight from these armored monsters a breed apart from other soldiers.
The noise is terrific. It's not only the noise of the engine and of the tracks, or of the gunfire outside, or of your own gun. It's also the noise that's coming through your headphones, the mush, which can be absolutely piercing. It was also, of course, very closed in. It didn't do to be claustrophobic. There was total confusion. It's what Clausewitz called the fog of war. I mean, it was really very literally there in my experience.
Every battle is chaotic. When you are in a tank, especially as a driver, and you don't see very much, it is chaotic. You get new orders every few minutes, a little bit to here, a little bit to there. As an infantry soldier, there's a certain purpose in it. You see what you are doing. You can defend yourself. Having no vision of what is going on around you, that creates a chaotic condition in your mind.
When you were in action, the tank commander was either sitting on a very, very small seat or mainly standing up. If he was standing up, average chap could just about look over the edge of the cupola. And you'd be standing there for about 12, 14 hours during the day in the summer. In that time, you got very little exercise in yourself. And we found to start with, we were getting something that was called tank commander's legs. The legs just became very swollen between the knees and the ankles. It was very, very painful. You daren't take your boots off. If you took your boots off, you'd never get them back on again.
So it's horrible. I disliked it all the time. One never admits it, really. One always tries to tell, as a young soldier, heroic stories, but the smell and the noise. In summer, it's very hot. In winter, it's very cold.
When the winter came on, if you were feeling a little hungry, you could shove potatoes down the exhaust pipes of the tank and let them rumble away in the silencers for a minute or two, and then you revved up the thing, you held a bucket there, you had a bucket full of beautiful roast potatoes, there were things like that. And against orders, we were always brewing up tea on our petrol cookers inside the tank. But the big problem, when we were in action for a long time, you know, perhaps 3 or 4 hours, and you were completely closed down, you couldn't get out, of course, how did you pee? And the only way to cope with this problem was that you shoved a 75mm round into the gun, you fired off the round in the direction of Germany, you got out the shell case, and you used that. But you had to be very careful because these shell cases were very hot when they came out of the breech.
The only toilet you had was your steel helmet. You use it for anything and everything, besides shaving. But you also use it for your toilet. You open up your little cubby hole, and out they went back on your head again.
On operations, which of course was most of the time in Normandy and Northwest Europe, we would sleep at night under a canvas bivouac beside the tank if we bothered to put that up. I mean, often we would just sort of sleep on the ground, on our ground sheets, sometimes under the tank, because that offered a degree of safety, though there were people who told horrid tales of tanks having sunk into the ground and killed people.
Hey, come on.
Okay.
Go, Matt. Come on, Matt.
When you're in a tank, it's like a snow. You're carrying your own house around with you. Everything you want is with you. You've got to carry on the tank all your belongings that you need stacked somewhere on the tank. Your blankets, your ground sheet. We had our tank adapted. On the front was these brackets. We had little ammunition boxes with all our personal bits and pieces in there. The odd bottle of whiskey or two when we got the chance. That was in there as well.
You the brew, Mother. Cheers. Yeah. Cheers, Dave.
All our pockets were full of coffee. We didn't bother putting in ammunition because the coffee was important in the morning. You're cold, you want a cup of coffee. The infantrymen used to love us for that. They'd bang their rifle on a tank and shove in their cup through the porthole, and we'd heat up the water for them, and they'd have hot coffee. So they used to love that, you see.
All right, tell mate.
You want to look at that too? Yeah, water boil anyway.
We ate together. It was immediately possible to spot the best cook in the crew or in the troop. And we shared the same mess tins. We often passed the same mug around. We ate with the same knives and forks. All these inhibitions of peacetime went. I mean, we were as close as men could be to each other, and without any sort of sexual connotation. This was a matter really of loving people with whom you worked, and I don't think it too much of a hyperbole to say that that is what did exist in the tank crew. It was love in the best sense of the word.
The tank is, and seems likely to remain, the principal instrument of ground warfare. Its enemies may increase, but despite the risks and threats that menace the tank today, most experienced veterans of armored warfare believe in the tank's future.
My view is that the tank is going to be with us for many, many years to come, but it might change its shape. It might be a little bit different than it looks now, but the concept of a mobile platform that brings into the battlefield 3 dimensions, the protection, first, the firepower on board of this protection with the mobility is going to last with us for as long as the wars will continue in the land.
The real problem on the battlefield of today, as it has been all down the centuries, is how to go forward in the face of the enemy. It is not an easy thing to do. The development of weapons systems in all armies tends to favor the defense, tends to make it very difficult to go forward from where you are towards where the enemy is. That is what the tank was originally produced for, and that is what the tank is primarily required for now, is a means of getting firepower forward from one place to another in the face of very considerable fire from the enemy. Now, you're not going to be able to do that without any arm around you. You're not going to be able to do it just in a bulletproof vest. You're not going to be able to do it in a helicopter, which is very vulnerable on the battlefield. You will therefore require a form of mobility, which will get you over the ground, which must be mechanical, because if you're going to take any protection with you, that's got to be moved by mechanical means. The problem for the tank in the future will be just what sort of firepower it's got to carry with it.